Hey, what is up, everybody? It is Jack Lloyd here. I am excited to be doing something a little fun today. We're going to be working on, or looking over, I guess you could say, the Rippaverse fan art contest number 2. And this is going to be kind of special because there's a lot more art this time. Before, there was a sizable, group of people who participated, but it seems like both the quality and the number of people who have joined in for the Rippaverse Fan Art 2 contest, has gone up significantly. So this is going to be interesting. I might have to cut down coverage of every single piece, though, because otherwise I think it could take a really long time. So I'm going to probably take a look at pieces and try to focus on which is the best. I'll still go over each one, but I'll kind of work my way through. And if you remember from last time, my predictions didn't make it to the final. Now, there's a few reasons why, from my understanding, from what I've heard. One of the reasons why is that there were a couple of technicalities in the last set that kept people from being able to win who I think artistically should have won. But again, just because you had a good piece doesn't mean that all the rules are followed. And so the two rules, from my understanding, that were not followed by some of these people I thought would win were, one, there was too much of their work ripped off from an existing artwork. So if you copied too much or it seemed too similar, then you were out. So there were some issues there. And then last time, the turnaround window, I think, was much shorter. I believe it was something like 24 hours, something very short, like almost, in my opinion, a little ridiculously short. I think it was too short of a window for people. Even up to like 3 days is still too short for some people who are busy with work or traveling. So some people just didn't make it to the finals because they didn't say yes in time. If they got a message that you won, if they didn't send it back in that period, they were out. It was automatically moved on. So this time, though, the art contest, from my understanding, the art contest has two different things going for it that will make it a little bit more, I think, interesting and predictable. One, I believe they're having greater pre-vetting. So my understanding is that they actually have more preliminary investigation into the art submitted, and they won't let through some of the things that would be disqualified automatically. So before, there were some things I believe they let slip through, and they kind of just let people submit their art pieces, and then afterward were more scrutinizing. But my understanding is that in this art contest, they're actually taking the time beforehand to check over the work and not let it get to the front page if there's something that's clearly a violation of one of the rules, in the terms of service. So we should have a more curated group, of images here, ones that probably are able to qualify, unless they lied materially about something, lied about their age or something. But overall, we should have a more predictable set of artwork here. And there is a longer turnaround window. So my understanding is that this contest has a 7-day turnaround. So you actually have a week to get back to them if they say, hey, you're the winner. And I think that's a lot more fair. I mean, it's just, I think the shorter window was a little too on the edge for people. Again, people are living their lives. Something might have happened. They get sick. They're on a business trip, whatever. You need a little bit more window to respond to, hey, you won this art contest, just in case. Again, some people just need that little bit of extra buffer because life happens. So I think that this time, as we go through the artwork, I think I have a better chance of actually picking the artworks that will be the winners, because now when I'm focused on the actual quality, it's less likely that they're going to be disqualified based on not meeting the rules, and they'll probably make it back in time if they get their message that they won. And really quick here before I get to looking at the art contest, just a couple of things. If you're not on my YouTube, be sure to go to youtube.com/Jack Lloyd. I'm trying to boost up people coming over there and subscribing and following, getting notifications. So I definitely want my YouTube channel to be the main focus. But if you're seeing this in other platforms or other YouTubes, because it's going out to 8 different locations right now, simultaneously casted, be sure to check out the YouTube. Come on over. That's where everything is for my live stream videos, like the biggest things. But again, you're welcome to watch wherever, Facebook or otherwise, Twitter. But I really would love it if you'd come on over to the YouTube. I can see especially your comments. Like if you're on the Twitter stream right now, I won't be able to see your comments, for example. So come on over to the YouTube if you want to be able to actually engage. And if there's people who are coming by and throwing in some 2 cents or correct me on something, if I get something wrong, I would love to be able to see that and have you on over here. And on general news, before I get into this, do recall we have our next event that is fun. I have our next event coming up September the 9th. And that is actually going to be at a gun range, but it's not just shooting guns. It is actually also a comedy show with Lou Perez. So that's going to be a ton of fun. You can check that out just easily by going on Eventbrite. As you can see here, there's a big page for it. It's very searchable. It comes on up if you hit, don't shoot Lou in your Google search or whatever, it's going to come right up. So we have that coming up on September 9th. There's going to be 3 ticketed events, a comedy show, a range time, so you actually have to shoot guns with Lou, and a VIP mixer after that to hang out and, catch up. There'll be some photos and a book signing opportunity too. So definitely check that out. If you're looking for something fun to do in September, this is a pretty special event. It's very limited seating, exclusive kind of thing. So if you ever want to have, a more intimate time hanging out and getting to ask Lou questions and just getting a great experience, getting to shoot with him, definitely come on out and, check out what it is. You don't have to go to even all 3 of the ticket events. You can just go to 1 or 2 or all 3. It's up to you. But ticket sales, of course, are limited. So make sure to pick those up before everything gets sold out. All right. So let's get on over to the fan art, because this is where it's going to really get interesting. So as you can see here, they even say it here. Take a look at the qualifiers. They already even have up there. They're telling you that these art pieces have already gone through some type of preliminary investigation. That was my understanding from reading some of the things they said and talking to some people working with the Rippaverse, project and of course the company. So again, this is a much better chance of my getting these right now that, some of these have already been screened and it's less likely that someone's going to get disqualified unless they just, don't respond to their winning email. So as I said, to save some time, I'm going to be kind of looking at it by row. Because there is just way more artwork this time. So as you can see, as we zoom on in here, we already have in this top row a few different types of art styles. So Kurt Parker did this isom, punching. I'm not sure exactly what that character is. The blue hair almost makes you think Yaira, but I don't know because it almost looks like an SJW, but maybe. The artwork here, of course, is pretty clean and neat, but it is a little simplified. So I wouldn't put that in the running. It's really the middle one of these 3 that is probably the most likely to be in the running. But the only downside to this one by Pitch Comic Arts is that it's not colored. So, you know what I mean? Like when we're talking about a competition and you have people that have both good line work and good coloring, you're going to have some troubles there. The one on the right by Arnold Fusia, it's a cool concept. It's like isom in the hand, but it's a little too grainy and gritty. It's not really very clear and visible. Isom almost looks like a little bit like a zombie. I mean, cool concept in terms of layout, but again, I wouldn't put that in the running. But let's take a closer look here at this inked and penciled page, because this has a lot of detail going on for it. And it's kind of interesting because they have a lot of line work, right? So this looks almost like they just took rulers and did grids to do the city, which gives it a rich feel. If you look, Yaira here has a pretty good female form overall. I think the Yaira overall body is decent on the proportions. The face is kind of interesting because she actually kind of looks more African American here than a white chick. So it almost makes you wonder if this artist did that intentionally, or that's just kind of a little, redesign of the face. But again, strong line work, definitely good dimensions. Without the colors, I do get a little lost with the buildings. So it is a little tough. Isom's position here is unique. The big legs up front going down. I mean, the proportions are almost there. They're pretty close to what you might expect. They're a little off for me, a little wonky, but the face is pretty good, actually. I'd say the face design's not too bad. I can see that being colored well. And then you see down below what looks like possibly other characters taken down. I'm wondering if that's Alpha Core. They have like military gear, but it's not entirely clear from the facial structures what they are. Again, great overall detail. I'm not sure that the proportions are going to cut it in the end. Without it being colored, it's already going to be at a disadvantage against others that have great design plus coloring. So again, good start, but I think we're gonna quickly find some better stuff. So And the UCB says second is beautiful. The hand looks great. And the third one, yeah, I mean, definitely. Of course, out of those, the line work in the middle is pretty good. I think there are some details though that have to be really considered. Again, if your facial structures and proportions are not right to the true to the character, that's going to be a factor because it's competitive against others. So whoever gets it better is going to be better off. All right, so we got a new row to look at. This row, I would say there's no particular artwork here that stands out as being competitive enough. I think that the some of these pieces here are decent, like someone who's just getting into comic stuff like that. The line work on all of them is more simplistic. The facial structures are okay. They're not that that detailed enough. I think the middle's coloring is interesting, some of the reflections, but again, it's too rudimentary. So, Dylan, Jonah, and Mel here, good tries, but it's definitely not going to be up to par in terms of the quality of detail that's needed and the line work. So, all right, let's look at this next row. Okay, this gets interesting because we have something of a different style. So, Skunk Artworks here has this kind of more, I guess you could say, almost watercolory, inky feel of isom. It's interesting. It's certainly an interesting pose and position. The effects with the ink splatter is cool too. It's artistic, but again, I wouldn't put it up there with the comic art. The middle one, I hope I said this right, Keir Covington. He's got the new character Chadran. I hope I'm saying that right, Chadran. I've been asking, how do you exactly say it? Because is it Chadran or is it Chadran? I don't know. I would assume Chad because it's like, he's a Chad or something, but someone can correct me if I'm getting that wrong. This is a good basic line work and artwork here with the faces together. I think Isom's face is a little too sharp on some of the features to be like truly canon style, but I could see this being a nice art piece, colored in. But again, it's since it's not, there's not enough going on for me to be like, oh, okay, this is going to be a top contender. Now, this one on the right, I want to take a look at bigger because it's kind of interesting. This is by Art, I guess, Zero at the X. I'm going to guess that's how they're trying to do it. So this is really funny because it looks like an anime here, right? This looks like someone does more of a manga style, and it feels like almost like it's a screenshot from some, anime. I will say, just a little bias here, but just for the style, that is pretty cool. I think that the positioning of these characters is really great. I think it's excellent in terms of the genre, right? In terms of this manga style, epic style, I think they overall clearly have some experience in that style. This is pretty well done. The highlights are cool. I would just say that because it isn't traditional American style comic book, that is a knock, I think, in terms of the totality of artwork potential. But again, it is cool. I do like it. I think that the disadvantage here, in some sense, is that we don't get a cooler, I guess you could say, more coverage, cooler shot of Isom's suit. Yaira, we get a little bit, but Isom really, you'd like to see more. But again, stylistically for it, so far out of all the art pieces we've seen, I would say this is already one of the best ones out of the ones we've gone over so far. Just because, again, it's very interesting in the positioning. It's colored in. It's got really dynamic angles. They do this like whole wide eye thing, which, sometimes that works when you're trying to make them seem super souped up. Doesn't always work when you want to get the details of the face canon. But again, super cool. I don't know that this would be a top contender, but definitely is a cool art piece for sure. All right. Oh, okay. We got some new characters here and some interesting art styles. So I might have to go into this a little more because these ones, definitely worth looking at. So Xavier Santos. So this is pretty interesting with Yaira here. The composition's great overall. I mean, I can't complain about the, doing this interesting background style and the pose. The face is a little off for me. So that must be I'm going to guess their artist style. Like, some people who are more practiced have just a way to do faces. It doesn't sell me on how Yaira looks, but competent art piece. pretty cool overall. Coloring is pretty decent. It's the gold is nice with the reflection. The energy is nicely laid out. Definitely a good piece. I just don't know that again. Is this going to be top level competitive? I don't know. I did see some pretty high ones in this one, so we'll see. Bill Holloway, I believe he also did the last competition. So there's just pencils. His perspective is super cool. I'll give him that. Like, I think that this, like, coming out of the building, saving a child. I think, it's got mainstream comic industries. That I think that's kind of funny there to have that little note about, that they're on fire, getting destroyed. He's saving the kid from the mainstream comic industries. That's really funny. I think the back of the girl's shirt is that say fan, F-A-N. I think it is. Or it says fam and the finger cuts it up, and I think it might be fans. So maybe he's saving fans from the mainstream comic industry. I think it's cool. It's definitely a cool piece. The line work is very like roundish for me in a way that like almost reminds me of early, I don't know, 80s to early 90s, maybe even late 70s Japanese style. So I think that this is a competent art piece, and I think if colored, it would be probably extra good. I just think that, without those things, it's kind of tough. So, because I think we're going to see better. So again, definitely one of the better ones in terms of line work. Might need a little bit of work though. Okay, this bloodruth is super cool. I think this is fantastic as an art piece in this genre and this style. So this style is, of course, not American comic art. This is the Americanized manga, right? When you do the big eyes, but it's still kind of American looking form and feel. It doesn't look like they actually do details in the nose and lips, opposed to like the Japanese kind of quick, sharp line nose thing. This is an excellent piece. I think that this is pretty. It's very modern. I like the energy. I like her form. She looks cutesy in it. Now, again, it's not American style comic book in terms of matching the Rippaverse official, but this is a great piece. And I like that they did the bloodruth logo in the background. So I would say overall, this is probably my favorite piece so far in terms of having a lot of the key elements down that you want for a solid piece, which is good coloring, good energy effects, something, special about it. I like the signature thing. But will it hold up to the end? Even though this is a good piece and would be impressive if someone wanted a character drop or mock up, I don't know. I think this contest is about to get heated. All right. So let's look at this next row. This is another set of pieces that, there's some competent aspects to each, but I don't think we're going to cut it. So, I'm not even going to go into detail here, but Phillip Space, he does Yaira, does Bloodruth. I think Bloodruth's face and the eyes a little bit weird with the ghosty eye thing. Some of the proportions are a little bit off. The stomach is kind of awkward with the way the muscles are done. Again, you got some base elements down, and Yaira looks kind of cool there in the background. I think they could use more color contrast, but it's again more entry level, but it's a good start. Artist Show Joflo. So he does some realism thing here. I think he may have done something before too. It's cool. It's cool as a realism. But again, is that really what's going to win an art contest here? Or just a little clip? And there's someone behind him. I don't know exactly who. Someone, if you recognize what these things are, let me know. But the hands look kind of weird, almost like only 3 fingers. And I'm not sure if that's Dokuman or something, but it's kind of weird. It's got like a green caping thing behind it. Cool. Again, cool as a concept to do a realism thing, but I don't think that's enough for the contest. And then we have Roberto here. I'm not going to go into it. It's just too the line work and the coloring it's too flat, not enough detail. I like the background character. I'm not sure exactly who that is. I don't think that's Santuan or Darren Fontano, or if it is, then it doesn't exactly look like the characters from the comic. Or is that supposed to be Isom's face? I don't even know. It's not very clear. But I would say the best part is that background face. That is kind of cool, but it's not the comic book style we need. All right, Pluto Blue. Great use of characters, like lots of characters, but again, the proportions, the coloring, it's too simplistic, not realistic enough. Food athlete art. That kind of looks like a young Isom, right? With the facial structure, he looks like a young lad. It looks like Isom at like 18 or something. Interesting, but again, not enough detail. the belt thing, it doesn't really work out for me. They don't have the defined lines, so no good. All right. Makila, I'm gonna guess. The Yaira poster is kind of interesting. I like the concept. I like these like 3 different poses. I like the beautiful blue in the background, the hair. Again, it's just the proportions and the details not going to be up to par, but I think the concept is good. I think this could, if this was done a little bit more comic book style, more detail, it could be a great art piece. All right, Kevin Stewart. I'll pull this up a little more. This is interesting. So he's got that chadran character, and he has this like brick that looks like isom, and the M's breaking. That's really creative. So that's a lot of points for me. I mean, that's really smart. Isom here, the pose, and I think everything here looks great. I think that this would be a very strong piece if it was colored, but Isom's face, he almost looks a little bit too much like a white dude. Let's be real. The nose structure and stuff like that is throwing me off. It doesn't really look like the canon design. So I think if this person just spent a little more time touching up on the facial details to really make it look like isom, and then maybe had someone color it in, this could actually be up in the running as a winner. I think this could have been, but those couple of things can make it really tough when you're talking about the edge. But good start. Adam Kozart here. I'm not going to go too much into it. The colors are a little too flat. It's fun. It feels almost like a webtoon. I think that's great. I like the fights there. It's pretty engaging. But is it going to cut it? No, it's not. It's not the detail level that we need. So Junko Gresco. Okay, this is a cool art piece, right? So this definitely, as a style, is wild. So again, the style here is very clearly meant to be something more artistic and not fully comic form. I think as a concept, it's cool. Does it really look like Bloodruth in terms of the characters and what they're supposed and what she's supposed to look like? I don't think so. But we got to deal with it as it looks. And I can just appreciate the style. I think this is a beautiful art piece. I think that the pose, I think that it is gorgeous. It's a gorgeous piece. In that style, but it's not going to probably cut it as compared to what could be done. Again, it is great art piece though. All right, Ben R. Grau, great angle, for sure. Just too simple on the line work. Not enough depth. Studio Katsumi, a little bit too weird on the shading for the chest. It looks like the pecs have got pecs or something. The face a little bit too demonic, so the proportions are off. But again, good. Your coloring is strong there, or stronger. You just need to get the lines right. Eskrin Leonard. I'm not going to go into detail. I think it's cool that you got chadran yaira, the multiple characters, but the details are just not strong enough, and the color contrast not strong enough. Sketch 51. Okay, now this is good because this, I believe, was one of the winners from last time. So, and again, that was winning in a context of, there not being, some of the better ones being able to qualify. So I wonder how he's going to do in this sequence. That said, in his art style, again, I said this was a strong one before. I did say that his style was good. It is a great piece. And if this was the primary art style for isom, you'd be like, oh, okay, you totally buy into this. The action's great. The colors are strong. Facial expression is good. It's a little extra, exuberant. It's, of course, a little bit more cartoonized, which is okay for that genre. If you're doing that, great. Oh, hey, what's up, D Conway? Good to see you too. So I think that this is a very strong piece overall in the genre and the style. Could it be a winner again? Maybe. Maybe if we have, not as many of the strong normal Americanized styles that matches isom. But I think this is an excellent art piece. And again, if this was the design, like this is the cartoony style was the primary design on the series, I mean, it would be nailed. It'd be perfect. You know what I mean? And I like the saber tooth crack there on the big tusk looking tooth. That's great. So I just don't know. And bloodruth looks pretty cool too, and the energy is pretty cool. But again, it's a tough one to say this time, especially and I think you're already seeing it, right? I took that off, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I'm getting why there's going to be a whole different level of competition. This game has been stepped up on this fan art contest. This is not the same as last time. The game has definitely elevated a whole notch of talent. So, and I just love seeing. I love seeing the crazy talents that people are bringing to this table. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about, right? I mean, you just look at this right now, you're like, okay, yeah, you're right. You're right, Jack. This is gonna be tough. Because when you come in with a piece like this, yeah, it's gonna be a tough battle for the rest of everybody. But I'm okay with that because we're here to see who brings the heat to the table and who brings the best proportions and coloring. And as you can see here, this is true talent right now. I mean, this is the highest level of artwork that we've seen so far in looking through these. The proportions are incredible. The coloring, the skin tone is beautiful and accurate. The shading is great. The proportions of the costume is incredible. The Rippaverse sign in the background is a nice homage to the series. You got some great design on the footwear, and chadran looks super cool, especially with the smile, that like cocky smile, just taking it to the next level of design and the details here. I did catch one little thing, and again, this is a continuity issue that I've been trying to talk with the art team about. To what extent is it canon for the belt to have the rectangles, right? How many rectangles are canon, how many are not? That's still something I'm trying to figure out, because there was some discrepancies in the original. And when I did my fan art thing before, working with an artist, I chose what I thought was the most complete suit. And this guy is definitely using a more, I think, cool suit, because he's got the white band at the top of the boots. He's got the white bottoms with the more detail. I think that is the way to go. Personally, I'd be like, if y'all going to make that canon, do the extra detail. It looks awesome. But he's missing the rectangles. So I don't know. Is that okay? Are those rectangles something that signify something, or they get used up for something? And so, okay, that could be appropriate to not have the rectangles because they're disposed of or used for purpose. I don't know. We need to find that out. I think the face for isom here is excellent. It's not exactly, of course, the style from the comic, but I think the design is admirable and beautiful. I mean, this is a truly gorgeous art piece. Already, I would just looking at this, I would say, wow, this is a top contender for sure. You just have everything working together right in proportions and shading and light accents and a great upward angle that builds excitement. Multiple characters, including the new character, chadran. It is something to truly behold. So, we'll keep that in mind for later. Okay, this next art is something that I was so impressed by. I had to go look up this person. I still can't find them exactly. I found their DeviantArt, but this is really going to blow your mind when you see this if you haven't already. So this person, Phillip H. Wood, or a.k.a. Donnie Danko, created an isom, basically real life mock-up of an action figure and packaging. It is amazing. Like, this is like, I'm looking at this like, okay, dude, I want to hire you for packaging design. This is incredible. And what's unique about it too is that his design of isom is not necessarily the best, right? It's the drawing that he does is not necessarily the best of the coloring and the angles, right? But the thing is it's designed for this packaging that fits, right? It looks like something you would expect on that kind of thing, where it's, you kind of have this like throwback feel to the cartooning, and his proportions are overall good. He's got even the little side things with the belt, the rectangles. He got the great footwear. The action figure looks like it would be something that would be a little bit off. Just like when you order something from, China. I mean, they say this one's made in the USA, but whatever, you understand that when you make an action figure, you're not going to be perfectly like the comic. It's never gets that detailed unless you have like a resin thing or something that's super high level, like hundreds of dollars figure, kind of carved out. When it's a mass produced, injection mold figure or whatever, plastic figure. There's some details that are just a little bit off, but it works, right? It looks like it's the real thing, like what you would expect out of a toy, like a little, multi-point of action toy, something that has lots of articulation. You can even see where they had the little, I guess, bending points. Incredible. And on top of that, not only does he do the front here, he does the back with detail about isom and some of his information. Like you can cut it out and save, right? It says clip and save for your Rippaverse comics continuity files. This is amazing. Like to me, this almost feels like this person was doing a pitch, right? I'm kind of almost thinking that this person's like, you know what? This is not only my fan art contest, but it's like, he's like Loki. I'm like, if you want to make action figures, keep me in mind for your packaging design, because it just looks that good. And this person spent so much time putting this together. You could tell because they have all these characters in the back. They literally have Isom, Yaira, Sydney Bloodruth, Chadran, Brian Solari, Ingrid Valdez, and Braxel with Alpha Core. He puts together all these characters, and each one of them actually looks very adapted to the canon's design. Like none of these characters are like, oh, they're totally off or their faces. No, like each of them looks pretty legit for the style. It's not the high level comic book style in total, but my gosh, he put all these characters and something you would think would be on the print of a back of a toy box. That's amazing. Like it really does look like them. It doesn't look like you're not thrown off looking at anything like, okay, wow, that's, it looks like the characters in this style. Wow. Okay. So this is incredible. Like, honestly, this is mind-blowingly amazing. And the details that he put in the back too, just to make it like it's the real thing, right? Each sold separately, proof of purchase, right? Made and printed in the USA, it puts all these little things. He even puts like the little points thing, right? Like back in the day when you'd collect points because you buy a bunch of different figures or whatever. It's something that is, out of this world. This is, it's incredible. And even just hiring someone to do something like this for you would be very expensive. You know what I mean? If someone were like, oh yeah, you want to do packaging design, easily $500, $1,000 to do something that's this level where you have to apply graphic design and the artwork. And this is a really incredible piece. And even gives, homage to all the people who are part of the series, right? Eric July, it says Cliff Richards, Gabe Eltib, Eric Weathers. I mean, it's just thoughtful, well-designed, and full of little Easter eggs, right? Rippa toys, 199, 72 at 2 at 23. Like I think it might be maybe that's something with the date, right? 07/20/2023. Sorry, I thought that was an at symbol at first. My bad. So it's, he even does what it's made. I mean, and it says issue 3, variant C. I mean, just so much thought into this. And then even the isom logo redesign to make it like look a little retro. Wow. I mean, yeah, as UCB says, it's creative AF, great detailed packaging, run the point night. I mean, absolutely right. This is truly an artwork. This is incredible. And this deserves something. Like it may not have to be the winner, of course, but I would be absolutely shocked. I don't care what else comes next. I would be absolutely shocked that something of this detail and this many characters stuff doesn't win at least something, second, third, something. I mean, this is a dream. Like I you know what I mean? Imagine someone makes for you something like that, where you have all your characters from your comic universe put into this cool packaging thing. I mean, this is award worthy. So, wow. Absolutely incredible. All right. So that was a row of amazing, as you can see there. So I don't know if we'll get another row of that amazing, but we'll see. We'll see. So Josh Edwards here has a isom drawing. Proportions a little off, not as much in the detail, but good start. Interesting angle, but not up there. Chikaris Wince, cool punch, but detail, proportions a little off at the head, a little too small head. And then we have Jeremiah Blackwell. I'll pull up a little bit closer. I don't think it's going to cut it, but yeah, the detail on Yaira is a little bit lacking, especially after doing a lot of detail on isom here. Cool city. I think the city's the strongest part of this, but I think the facial characteristics are just not there, and especially without the colors and everything else. Again, if you're someone, I got to say this in case you're watching this and you're one of the artists, right? If you are someone who is a primary penciler / inker, and you really are trying to win, not just throw it out there, but trying to win, you might want to collaborate with somebody else who does the colors and does it well. Because again, if your goal is just, okay, I just want my art scene, okay, whatever, submit it. But if your goal is to win, remember, you're going against people who have the good pencils and inks, and they have the colors too. So how are you going to win if you're only halfway there, right? Really, that's a tough gamble. So if you can, work with a fellow artist who does the coloring, so you have the chance of winning if that's your goal, and then you can both win. Okay. Oh, and run the point. I said, what's the price? $1.99 for the packaging one. It was $1.99. So that's super cheap. That's they're doing prices like it is the 1980s, right? With the design. Okay. Jorge. Now this is pretty crazy. So let's take a look at this. We're getting some high detail here. Okay. What's interesting about this with Jorge's piece is the detail here is very traditional American comic book style. The excitement is there with this incredible angle. Isom, he's up on this piece of, I guess, a building that's like shot up, crushed up, broken in the sky. I love the detail on his rip suit. Fantastic. I might have done a little bit more color-rich contrast, but again, it works. We can assume it from the fire. Maybe it's giving more of that like orange washed out look. They got the details, with the cross, even a little bit of the rectangles. Again, there's two. I don't know how many are supposed to be there, but you never know. You got the foot details a little different on the boots. We got these two white stripes. I can accept that again until Eric July and the team actually says this is canon. We need to know. Like at this point, they should put out, okay, here's our official final canon design. We need to know that if you're going to have more art contests in the future, so that people can be like, oh, okay, this is the canon design for sure. But again, we can accept it for now. And then Chadran looks incredible. I mean, he looks demonic. His hair's flowing. This is a solid piece. This is definitely in the running right now between the line work, the pose, and the style. It's hard. Okay, yeah. Okay, I can see it now. You could see his irises. I was wondering if his irises. Okay, the irises being there takes it up for me. That's good. So overall, cool design. I think that this is a solid piece. Definitely could be in the running. We'll see how it goes. But this person definitely understands, realistic human proportions, shading and coloring well. And the background is cool. I mean, I don't know if I would have done the halftone pattern with dots there, but it works. It definitely works fine. It does feel, the only thing is from artistic, critique is just, I do feel a little empty with the top. Just because there's so much in the bottom. And again, you might say, okay, well, we want less in the top, so your eyes get drawn to the bottom. I would have put something up top, like in the way in the background, just to lead the eye down, because it does feel a little bit empty there. But again, totally good. I mean, hey, you could even potentially crop it. Like, I mean, you could even crop this, from the top a little bit off, and then boom. But either way, the talent is there. All right, Fat Tacky Cats. Won't get too much into it because it's a little cartoony. We got a few characters there. I think there might be Brian Slurry of Alpha Core back there. But is there something over there? Oh, yeah, definitely more of the Alpha Core. Again, they did a good job with kind of the basics here. It's a little webtoony almost, just above webtoony. So probably not going to make it. Keith here did some work. There's not much to go into here. The design, the color scheme especially, is just a little too off. It almost feels like you work in RGB and then switch to CMYK or CMYK and back. That's some big booby, though. That's a lot of side boob. So, again, the proportion's a little bit off. Color is a little bit off, so I'm not going to make it there. Dan Eubanks. This, again, is a good drawing. Now, Isom here, yeah, he looks a little too old. Again, if you're trying to be like, okay, here's Isom when he's 60 or 55 or something, okay, but he looks a little too weather worn. The line work is overall good. I think the cross shouldn't be colored in that way, but I think that having Shatter in the background is cool. I think it's an overall good start to a piece. I think, again, in this situation, get the colors in, or it's going to be hard in the competition. There's some details a little off. Isom looks a little old, so it's not going to make it up there, but one of the better ones. Matt McAdam here. It's cool pose with You know, isom, bloodruth here, and chadran. Chadran also looks a little effeminate there, but you know, the detail, the style is not going to be up to par. El Padrino, cool angle, but isom's face is really not on there for me. I think, you know, I think his background detail is great. I think that the angle is pretty cool. But right now, especially with the bottom part of the suit, it almost looks like isom's wearing a diaper. So there's a few details that are throwing it off for me. So it's a little too, I guess, disconnected from the body. So between the face and everything else, again, it's just not going to cut it. But if you can work on those proportions in the face a little bit more, you might have a chance. Ken and Jay, I don't think this would be it, but I'm just going to take a quick look because it's kind of interesting. So this is a little bit more fantasy almost. There's a lot of realism in these faces. I don't like that it's so dark for bloodruth. I think that's frustrating. I think the colors are too muted here with Iris. You know, Yaira has the most light to her, and there's some details missing the blue here on the belt. You know, this person, they had a great start. It's like okay, you got the basics down to their face and their bodies, and man, you should have just really let the light shine and let the colors be true. I think that would have done you a good service, and then get a little bit more of the details. So you're on the right track of doing something cool, but you really got to, you know, get those colors to be popping, especially here where some people are just some beautiful colors and they're really going up. So Alex Lopez here, again, that pop colors. There we go. Some nice colors overall. I like the pose. It's cool. I like it coming down. I think her face is pretty good. Definitely looks like a white chick with blue eyes. But I don't know. There's not as much excitement here for me. Again, it's definitely nicer. It's one of the better ones for sure. The detail's pretty good. I'm just not sure if it's going to cut it compared to what we have even already with some incredible detail in multiple characters. But again, pretty. This is overall good. It's almost there for me. The proportions is a little bit, maybe, I don't know, something throwing me off between the head and the boobs, but pretty good. Ryan Lund. So this is going to be interesting because I think his isom here is not very good because the facial structure, the eye thing, like it looks like he's ghosting there. Arms a little bit too big and awkward, but he does chadran pretty well. Like this, he's really good at the beastly form. So oddly enough, you know, this top part is like, okay, actually I can buy into that, and the angle's cool, but then the second half at the bottom, you know, loses it. So good start with your line work. Good start with, I think chadran looks really solid, but isom really needs more work to get him to look more like canon. Drazuka, mother almost web cartoony look. Cool. I think, again, in the genre and the style, could be cool for web cartoony, but not going to cut it. Gamma Weenie, he almost, I don't know why I thought of Luffy from One Piece with eyes on his face there. Again, it's a cool pose, but not going to be up there. Ethan White, cool. You have a bunch of characters. You know, you're definitely learning to get better, but the proportions here are just way too off. You know, it's a little too primitive, but it's cool. I mean, again, you're getting there with some of your details. You're getting there with some of the characters, but a little too primitive in the work. Brie Artiste, it's bloodruth, but even just looking at this thumbnail, it's, you know, the proportions a little off. It's not enough detail, so can't do that. Reb Pierre, I don't know why Yaira just reminded me of Britney Spears. Be a little, you know, whatever out of it. The muscle tone and the coloring, it just looks a little too weird with the design. Like it almost is like trying to be realism, but it doesn't quite hit it. And the proportions, like where this elbow turns on Yaira, just not right. There's some proportion work that needs to be done, among other things. The coloring is, you know, not up to par. So again, good start, but you got some ways to go. Joel Wright, again, it's a cool, looks like someone would have painted that on a canvas, a little impression thing, but not up to par in the running. James Q Win. I know that's Win because it's Vietnamese. Thanks to my special Vietnamese/Chinese wife for that knowledge. So I think that having the characters and all this stuff here is cool. You know, again, it's not colored in. The proportions for his arm and elbow stuff on isom's not that great. His face isn't quite like it. Getting there a little bit with Darren Fontana, but it's not up there. It's not gonna cut it. Christian Santos, great angle, just not enough detail and accuracy and proportions to make it good enough. So gonna pass on that one. Don Edwards, interesting purple lasers, but nothing looks like isom here. The face does. It's a little too bulky. It's not up to par. Sterling K Art. It's a nice little sketch. It's not, not gonna quite cut it, but we get it. Danko, Morningstar. Actually, Danko I interacted with on Twitter. I redid his poster, like with the top for him. So I was like, hey, isom's head is a little too small here. It's like about a half size too small, right? His body's so big and his head's so small. So I actually went in Photoshop and I resized his head to show him what the proportions were. And he's like, oh, thanks. So I guess whatever way it didn't end up making it to the campaign, unfortunately. But actually it looks really good when I resized his head. So that's the funny thing. Once I did the proportional on the proportions right in the head, it was like, yeah, okay, that's not too bad. But yeah, I mean, that head is way too small, man. It looks like, something out of the Super Mario movie with the Koopa Troopers, and their like heads are like super small. So good try though. You gotta get that head a little bit bigger. All right, Lord Dreamwar. I'm just looking at this comic. Okay, this is some 3D rendering. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things going on here, but it's not all going right. It's just, it looks like, some, I don't know, Dreamcast graphics or something. I don't know. It's just, there's so many things off. I can't even get into it. But again, cool try to do that in the 3D CGI. It is cool to try that, but got to work on the proportions. Galindo, I'm not going to go into this because, yeah, it's just while it is cool, I just think the proportions off, the face is a little bit off. It's it's not quite there on the details. Art Attack X, though, this is another one of those where it looks like the Americanized manga. I think this is great art. I think that it's super cool for the genre. I like that you have the claw here. It's built suspense. I think it's pretty. I just don't know that it will cut it. It is cool. It's a good art piece for the genre. Again, for that Americanized manga genre. But That Good Stranger, it's pencil work. A lot of lines. Kind of looks like Voldemort there. So not going to cut it, but interesting. Bruce Phillips, again, too simple. Too flat with the pencil work. But good face. I think the face is a good start. Mayank Kumar. This one's kind of cool. Okay. Looking at it deeper or more deeply. Okay, actually, this keeps getting better the more I look at it. So this definitely feels almost that borderline between Americanized manga and comic book. Because with the eyes here and isom, and then a little bit in Yaira, I feel like, okay, Americanized manga. Then I get down to bloodruth, and it's like the eyes are a little bit smaller, so they're not quite as Americanized manga in a way. It's cool. This is a cool piece. I think for the genre, the style of what's being done, it's pretty sick. I just don't understand why there's this line at the bottom, right? There's this, you can see it going all the way across, that there is this coloring line, like a texture that has opacity on it that cuts off at her nose and goes all the way down. But why is it only half the page? It's too linear to be like, okay, that's shadowing. And it's almost like, I don't know. I'm going to guess, as a comic book producer, letterer, and comp person myself, did this artist have a texture layer that was supposed to go over the whole thing to give the whole thing a color, but he cut it, he shifted it down halfway and didn't recenter it? I don't know. It seems too straight and too meticulous to be just accident. But if you look at the difference in the colors with bloodruth and her upper face and lower face, it does look like a texture, like, okay, it's going to add a color texture to everything. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know why it's like that. It does throw it off. I think if it applied to the whole screen, it would be great. Or if you took it off, okay, it'd be great. It would make her a little less tan. So I don't know. But I think the designs and details here, that this is a pretty cool piece. You know what I mean? Again, it's not exactly the style of isom in terms of the interiors, but this is pretty excellent. There's some details that could use some adjusting. Yaira needs some blue on her belt. She's missing some things. There's little things. But I really like this art. I think it's pretty. I think it's a good one. Jason J. McQuiston, there's a lot going on here. He just took out like some gauges, but it's the style, the proportions, it's not going to cut it. So we'll just keep on moving on. Ambitious manga. I don't even know why I clicked on this, but there's some cool details there. It's just a little too web cartoony. Just call me insane. Again, there's not enough detail. It's too simple. Pat Garden Art. A lot going on here, but the artwork is not going to cut it. It's not proportional enough. A little too sloppy on the coloring too. It's a little too watercolory in a way that doesn't work for this genre. Verdun Moravec, proportions, just straight up proportions. So that's not going to cut it there in this piece. Mike Ray. Okay, I got to look at this bigger because it's not one of those that's like, at first you're like, but then you look at the detail, you're like, okay. This is cool. Cool piece. The style is a little blocky where it gets to be almost like, today's Sunday or Saturday morning cartoon style. So I'm not a fan of that outright unless it's like done totally super well. And Isom's face here looks a little too off. He looks a little too old. There's too much detail on the wrinkles where it's, Isom's just not that old yet. Nose a little too wide too for canon. But cool piece. This is definitely a cool piece. It's one of the better mid-range pieces. Michael Wilson. Okay, I will look at this just because there's this unique in the texturing. I think that this is a great aesthetic. I think the design is cool. Like him pulling this chain link. I think that's a cool concept as far as trying to make something unique. I think the design on the suit's great. Proportions look overall good. Isom's face looks really intense. Pretty close. The style of the coloring, is like halfway to realism. So it's interesting. It's definitely a cool art piece. I think that it's a good piece. I just don't know if I'm like, okay, I like that as the art style versus some of the others that have been done. But I think that's a solid overall art piece. Just, maybe it could have had more excitement in the background than the green background. All right, Jose Garcia. Oh, yeah, I think I looked at this one before, and I was like, okay, so there's a lot strong about this piece, but then you just get overwhelmed, right? You look at this piece and you're like, okay, what is going on? There's just so much detail. This is where, you almost get lost in detail. So you have Yaira, you have bloodruth. They look cool. I think that the design, you could tell this person really understands their like kind of, it almost looks like a little more detailed Justice League cartoony, maybe borderline American manga. You see Ice in the back fighting an oversized, like super bulky chadran. It's cool. There's a lot going on. I just don't know that it works overall because you get lost in it. You know what I mean? Even though you could see, there's some like alien character with all these eyes in the background. You lose it. You know what I mean? It's super cool. It's like he gets the main elements super done right. But then because the background and the black fills, you kind of lose what's going on, right? You looking at this picture, you can't immediately tell what's what and where. And that's a problem of just, I think you use too many dark hues or blacks and you're losing what's going on in the picture. You need a little bit more contrast. So that's going to hold for me, Hey, it's Pho here. She said, so cool seeing the fandom. It is super cool. Okay. On the note of super cool, artist Michael Montenant and Simon Gao. Here's another picture that's going to be a little bit more high end. Now, there's some pros and cons because this is Norfolka, right? I think this is a cool piece in terms of, okay, it's done right, it's done well, the characters have good proportions, the faces almost look real, you know, they're like getting to the, they're starting to move toward borderline realism. I'm a little lost because the way that this face is done, especially when you look at the speaker, it's done in such a way that I can't help but think that maybe this was traced over. You know what I mean? Like you could sometimes see that where it's like you see an artwork and just the way the line work's done, you're almost like, did they use photos underneath that and then kind of drew over it? It's almost looking like that for me personally. So I think that, you know, I don't like the style either. It's just a personal thing. That's just personal preference. I don't care for this particular coloring style. It's a little too smooth for me and not too comic-y. It's competent, but I am starting to wonder, especially looking at the speaker, it does make me wonder to what extent some of these elements were just drawn over from photos. So, you know, collage, montage, and then drawn over. So again, could this be a good, unique thing? Nobody's doing Norfolk. Okay, it stands out, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of worried that this is a composite from other things. So again, good art piece as a generality, not my favorite style, but I have some concerns. I wouldn't put it there. All right. Yeah, this is going to just be proportions. Lots of cool characters in this one, but proportions totally off. Sorry, Capri. The Mr. Grins. I think Yaira looks great. Isom looks not up to par. He yeah, he looks more like some like weird general thing. His face doesn't look right. The proportions a little bit too chonkery and not, you know, strong enough in the design. So Ryle Reptile, this is interesting. I gotta look at just because I think what is put in there is interesting. I think the artwork's not great. This reminds me like almost like the Boondocks in terms of artwork style, or maybe like early 2000s like rap cartoons, like, you know, that you'd see in like rap albums. Isom almost has like a fro here. It's kind of funky. I think this face-off thing, I think the concept here is cool. I think that this overall artwork is a cool concept. I think it's just not proportionally and everything else up to par. Dan Lawless, cool concept, the robot in the background, but the colors and the proportions not on. Devin Dorsey, I think great concept. I'm gonna have to say proportions, colors not up enough. Totally on near, same kind of situation, different style, but colors, proportions. Abel Toledo, a lot going on here, but proportions, style, not going to cut it. Yaira's face looks a little too weird. Isom looks way weird with the eyes and the proportions. Fur Alvarez, I don't know. Who does he look like? He looks like some I forgot which manga it's from, but he looks like somebody who I can't think of. Again, cool pose, but not up to par. Armando B, proportions, facial style, not enough color. Brandon Arvelo, looks almost like watercolory, proportions, facial style. It's, you know, there's a lot of work to be done. Rocky or Roki? I don't even know what to make of this. It's like so many different genres at once, but it's not working because the facial proportions are off, the coloring is not strong enough, details not strong enough. So Elliot Rodriguez, I got to take a look at this one because this has got a lot of detail. Okay, so the oversized smile plus the eyes, it really does remind me of like late 70s, early 80s, like Japanese manga, you know, that kind of thing. I think it's cool. You know, it's funky. It's cool. The characters in the background, I forgot exactly what those guys are called. Maybe I'll have to look that up. But they're pretty wild. Let me see here. I'm going to see if I could find what those guys are called. Those beats. Or someone can just tell me in the comments what their names are because I just on. But the design on them is pretty cool. Yeah. What are those characters? I don't know. I'm trying to find it. If you know what it is, please tell me in the chat so I can figure that out. I think this is pretty cool. It's definitely toward the top. Not having the colors does hurt it. The face is a little old school style, but it's fun. I kind of like it, but it's not, I don't know that's going to hold up, especially with what we got. All right, the Art of Ed. Isom is kind of interesting. I don't know what the whispering thing is. It's kind of weird. The color style and stuff, it's just too muted. It's not exciting. So Nathaniel Fung, definitely proportions. Isom almost looks like Indian. Yeah. And the colors I could have. All right. Maria Adith Chitraputri. Again, interesting penciling, not up to detail, not up to par for what is needed to compete. Funky roll, cool line work, definitely for the style. I think for the style, it's cool, but it's lacking a lot of details and colors and other things that you'd want for it to really, really compete. Brian Benjamin. Okay. I think honestly his drawing here, I think Brian's not too bad. It portions a little bit off of the chest stuff, not exactly on, and the isom breaking thing's kind of cool, but nothing sticks out on it, so it's not compelling enough. But it's breaking out of the middle of the pack on that. Leandro TFX and Paulo Gomez. Cool as an art design. It's missing the blue on the V shape on the belt. Yeah, the style's not there for me, but not too bad. Joe Catapano. I think that this is a great initial pencil. I think the pose is cool. The angle's cool. I just wish it was filled in. I mean, there's nothing to say else about that. It's just, hey, that's a pretty good start, but there's so much more to go, especially in this competition. Anthony Gonzalez Clark. Now, this is a wild picture. Isom looks like almost like with the arm position, almost like a giant robot kind of thing. So if you know what robot I'm thinking, I'm trying to think of what manga it's from. It's been plaguing me this whole time. It's going to come to me eventually. Hold on, let me robot. I'm going for it. It's not Gundam Wing, of course. That does not look like it, but it's like he was a boy, right? It's going to come to me as I'm talking out loud with you. Robot manga boy. Oh yeah. Astro Boy. I don't know what it is. Yeah, exactly. It's something. Yeah, Astro Boy is what I was thinking about. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now I'm pulling this up. It's not necessarily the entire. It's just the feeling of like the kind of the arms and the movement kind of thing. I don't know. Just something to it, so you can just see. Pull up. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with Astro Boy, show you. Actually, yeah. Yeah, see. So I was thinking about like Astro Boy with those big eyes and certain adaptations of Astro Boy with the arm kind of thing. Anyway, so just I don't know why I just made me think of that. So this is fascinating because like everything is so elongated. I think it's a cool design for the genre. For what it is, if you're working in this style, they did a great job for the style. But even little details here, like what happened to Isom's cross? Where's his side stuff? It's all gone. The face is kind of weird. It looks like a different person, but it's kind of funky and I like it. You know what I mean? It feels like this is something like Japanese animated like adaptation of Isom. And then, Chadran, if that's Chadran, he looks like something out of Attack on Titan, right? It looks like Chadran's like a Titan, or Titan version of Chadran. So I just had to like this. It's cool. It makes you laugh a bit. It's kind of funny. It's funky. I like some of the facial designs, but it's not it. It's not the design. All right, Walter Reynolds, lots going on, but just straightforward. The proportions and the colors are, not up to par. Patrick King, That's kind of fun. It's got some, nice action, but it's not high enough detail. Proportions a little off. It's got some work on the colors. So John Dillard, that's an interesting rendition to isom. I think I'll take a quick closer look because it's got a lot of hashing on colors. Yeah, cool. Could have been something. I think if you had this colored, you might have had something in the top tier potentially. Steve Messenger, yeah, too smooth in the lines, but that's cool. Like you got some Norfolk stuff going on. Caleb Conver, a little bit of proportions, not enough colors. Jester Feathers, I can't even see what this image is. Look at this. What happened? They like, hey, I'm gonna like turn off the color or make it so dark you can't see anything. I mean, what is this? It's a cool shadow, whatever, but what are you gonna do with that? You can't see anything. All right, what the fan art? Yaira's, it's a cutesy little thing, but it's more of a borderline, like on its way to chibi hood. It's not, proportional. Gareth Williams. Okay, this is weird because it's like so like hyper realism in a sense. I think it's kind of funky. Obviously they spent a lot of time doing the details on this. It's too smooth, and Yaira looks almost like a little bit like in pain, like she's got an itch in her butt. I don't, I think it's cool in the genre of what they're doing here. This little bit of soft realism, but it's not doing it for me. Brett Barkley, he has. Oh, I like the bat in the shoe. That was a cool detail. isom doesn't exactly look how I think here. The belt thing's a little bit weird. Some proportions off, but cool angle. Definitely cool. I think it's, it's on its way there. I think you had a lot of strong things going on for it. Could use just a little bit of touch up, better coloring, a little bit better proportions, better facial structure. Jeremy S. Gooch. For the genre, this is competent art. Obviously, the coloring here is pretty cool. This, for the style, it's kind of cool. isom looks like a little. I like the look at that. You got the little nice lashes there, little pretty eyes. But is this the style that is best? Not exactly. It is cool though. It's in the genre that it is. Blackwood PDX. Proportions color is going to be out there. It's very, futuristic, something I don't know, futuristic 90s, 93 or something, but it ain't going to cut it. Harry Simos, bloodruth there looks a little better. isom, yeah, his face is really throwing it off. It's he looks like he's a little old and in pain, like isom at 68 or something. He's like fighting his way to the retirement home. So not going to work. Artist Peter. Cool pose. Colors are a little off, proportions a little off, facial details a little off. Calvin Wycliffe. The bloodruth is cool. This, it's in the genre. Some of the bloodruths I was talking before, where it's like almost borderline American manga, but it's not as good as those. The detail is not as good. The proportions not as good. So it's like on its way to that other style, but it's not quite there with all the, as detail rich and as proportional as needed. I said fetus. Festus Peter. This is a brilliant design. So I think this right here is brilliant. This is incredible creativity. I mean, just look at what they did here. I mean, you can see it for yourself. Just looking at these different window panes, he took the painstaking time to put together through reflection all the different characters in this action shot. I think that this is a very strong piece in terms of the angle, the use of trying to, pack it as much as possible, but in a unique way where it's not just the same old every character is shown because it's showing the reflections. I think this is super cool. It does have a few flaws for me, though, that could also hurt. I think his lips here are a little bit too weird and reddish in a way where he looks almost like he's like a zombie or just, I don't know. It's the color dynamic is a little too strange. He almost looks like almost a little raving mad as opposed to just like fighting mad. But again, you see the action here. Maybe it's possible that for some reason that's appropriate to look like that, but it's putting me on the edge. So I think this is a very strong piece in terms of being unique, creative, not too far from the facial structures, and having some great action. So definitely one of the ones in the top for running, although I do, have some concerns a little bit about the face. All right, Kai proportions just, not there. Color depth's not there. Eric Matthew Hall. This is a cool piece. The use of the line work here and the white on black, with the shadows is cool. Proportions a little off, face definitely off, but cool bad guys. I mean, I think that's your strongest point there is the creatures. But again, without the colors, with those little details, it's not gonna compete. Andrew J. Boucher, cool fight scene. Iceland's face looks a little off. No colors. Yaira looks a little better, but not gonna cut it. Michael DeCruz, too simple, too flat, proportions off. Artist Kenneth, I've never been published. Chandler, okay, he's never been published. Let's see why. The reason why is, well, you do have some interesting color dynamics in terms of presenting light. The figures are too simple or a little too like mudded out. There's not a specific detail. It's like patchy in how the colors and the line work's done. And it especially gets weak up top. It's all like all of a sudden you stop working on the rest of it. So, cool pose, but you got a lot more detail and color balance to go. All right, Kevin Wind. Cool drawing, cool poses, but color dynamic, depth, a little bit of proportions, not up to par. Charles Walls, I think that's a cool drawing and definitely a cool character, but again, neatness of line work, coloring, a little bit of facial proportions off, not good. Joshua Lamb, this is a great concept art. I think that like the idea of like having Alpha Core team members being hit and you see the reflection with isom, I think that's a great design. I just don't know that these details really are going to cut it. They look a little bit too funky in the color dynamic range and in the proportions and the looks. So great concept, some decent lighting, style on the outside helmet, but everything else is getting too off balance. Wow, this is a whole sequential page. I guess I'll look at that. So let's take a look here. Okay, so I don't know why they did a sequential. It seems like, like, hey, you need another artist, but I think that it's a cool piece. This shows that this person, I think, understands sequential art pretty well. I think that the detail is cool. Isom's face a little off. I think that the overall bodies are pretty good. I think that the positions and some of the energy, the expressions are good. It's just the facial matching is just not there enough for me. And again, without it being colored, it's a tough sell, especially compared to some of the stuff we've already seen. James Tennant Jr., it's a good start to a figure. It's not too exciting. The color is now there. Facial structure is a little off. GN, cool concept, but the detail is not up to par, colors and proportions. Tim Adams, cool concept, exciting pose, but detail, proportions very off. Mr. Chubton, did he make him with green eyes? Yeah, look at that. I don't know. I don't think I smell that, but proportions off, colors off. Interesting eye choice. Thazen, a.k.a. Mike. This is interesting because I think this one's going to have more detail to it. So you can see here that this person's artwork style is developed. So for the genre, they're clearly talented. They have their proportions for the genre down. They have the color styles down in terms of, looking how to do highlights and things like that. Isom's face a little bit off for me here. The exaggerated waistline, the chest is cool for the genre, but of course it's not going to match it exactly. They took away the foot bottoms here with the whites, which again, there's ones that are done that you could choose that by. I think this is definitely one of the better pieces. It's overall, in the style, it's definitely one of the better pieces, competent in this genre and this style of line work. But it's a tough one because we've seen so many good things. So let's see. Cyril over here. I can't get into the proportions and facial structures are just not up to par there. So, but cool design concept, but it's just not executed well enough. Crescent Debris. Again, that Americanized manga is starting to get there, but a little too weird in the proportions, especially in the stomach. A little too flat in the colors. Nicholas Wilson doesn't really look like isom, just a little sketch, pencil, so that's not going to cut it. Sute Harja, I don't know. All right, so this is interesting because it's almost like 3 covers. So Yaira's face is a little too small here, but some of the details are starting to get interesting and good. The alpha core, the face looks a little too simplified in his face where he looks young. Isom is actually the strongest part of this, so that's kind of interesting that they did, this triple thing. I guess, if you just cut it to isom alone, like the last panel of isom, I'd say actually that could be one of the ones that's toward the top, but the other ones don't do it as well for me. So he actually did isom the best overall for the genre. But it's a little still, off from the rest of the ones. So Rico, that's cool pencils. I mean, a little off in the isom face. Bloodruth looks pretty good, but not going to be up there. JG, proportions off. Color dynamics a little off. Missing some details. Alpha Core by Joshua Barillo. I think that font thing's pretty cool. It's like the Alpha Core. That design's good. The background's okay. It's not like my favorite here. I actually think that this artist doesn't have too bad of a basics on the faces. If they just had a little bit better coloring, it could be good for that genre. Fortunate. Let's see here. So this is Timurge. Isom's face is a little bit off. Again, the cool detail in the characters, but it's just too underdeveloped, not enough coloring. Shannon Hall. Okay, I'll take a look. I was on the edge at first, but okay, it's kind of cool with the creatures. Arms a little long, elongated, a little unnecessary. Isom's face a little off. I think it's a cool concept. Maybe just executed not as well as it needs to be. McCape, a.k.a. Mr. Lexio. It's just going to be too simplistic on the color dynamic and the faces, and a little bit of the proportions had a little too small. Rigel, Yaira, it's facial proportions, booby proportions, missing the blue on the belt. It's almost getting to fantasy art, but it's not cutting it for me. Oh, 10-pound hound. Okay, here we go. Okay, now we're talking. So this is where a rarer piece where the ink is so good and the layout's so good that this might even qualify on its own. So, as I said before, typically, unless you do colors, it's going to be hard to compete. But there are some inks out there that are so well done that you're like, okay, that might make it. This is one of them. And why this is so good is the proportions are absolutely incredible. Like, when you do this kind of like street view thing and you can capture the buildings, go all the way up, and they have rich detail in all the buildings, and the characters look amazing, like in terms of, just the action, that's a big deal. That said, though, it's not absolutely perfect. I mean, while Bloodruth looks pretty cool, the overall environment looks amazing. I would say, the background, Detractors Tears, Try Harder, absolutely hilarious to put that Easter egg in there. I think that's brilliant. Again, that's playing the audience. And you even got a little Yaira back there. You can make it all out. You even got like Be Athletic here. So something that, Eric likes to say. I really like it. I think Isom's face, a little bit of the proportions of the upper body, a little too square up top, a little too square. His face is kind of tough because it's like, could that be him? It's a little bit tough to make out, but again, it could be forgivable. It could be even forgiven in colors. And that's the thing, is without the colors, you don't have those little refinements that give it that definition that you're like, okay, where could this go? But this is an incredible perspective, great use of characters, even a little cat in the background. I think this is a very strong ink piece that is so good that in rare form, this might be one of the ones in the running for the top. But again, it's not absolutely perfect. And then again, we're still missing some of the like little details. Like, are these the little rectangles on the side of the belt? I don't know. How many does he have? Are they used for anything? I don't know. So we just don't know. But great work, 10-pound hound. That is one of the better ink pieces and pencil, inked and pencil pieces. Lionel Blaze or Blaze, I don't know. Junior, Cool punch, a little too smooth on everything, a little too smooth on the colors. It's not quite there. Max Roa, cool concept for pose, but colors, line work's not up there. Randall the Animator. This looks like like isom. I don't know. It looks almost like Frieza or something like that. You know what I mean? Like an old Dragon Ball Z episode where isom is like fused with Frieza or something with the eyes. Yaira too. So it looks almost like, it says Randall the Animator. It looks a little bit anime. I think the proportions there definitely need some work. But it's kind of funny because it looks like he's in Dragon Ball Z about to be blasted by Goku, with that eye design. All right, Dan Dahl. Let's see what we got here. This is something where it's a lot of line work. Isom's face, again, the same kind of thing that some people struggle with. They struggle to get him to that younger age where he doesn't look like he's 50 or 60. He's got a more square jaw. And again, it looks cool. If Isom looked like this, like that was core, it would be okay. That's pretty cool. Yaira's, done pretty well. Bloodruth looks great. The American flag design here looks sharp in the context of everything. I think this is a solid ink piece. It's definitely one of the better ones. And he chose the more pointed cross with the side rectangles. It's a tough one though, because again, if we're looking for one inked piece where it's just inks, and we're like, okay, this inked piece is in the running as compared to everything else. This is kind of debatable whether it would be the one. It is debatable, but cool for the style and the genre, and definitely one of the best ink pieces or the better ones out there. Artist Joe Zuninga, he's got a cool isom logo in the Rippaverse thing, the crack on the ground, but again, proportions, looks are just a little too simple still. Indio, that's cool. Bloodruth, grayscale, more realistic proportion of the face, but not detailed enough. Noble Crimson V, interesting rendition. Yaira, a little bit weird on the color scheme. She almost looks like a vampire there with the eyes. So, yeah, it's not gonna cut. No blue on the belt either. Bloodruth here on this one is kind of interesting, the design, but it's a little too simple in the colors, but it's a cool concept. Bad for Meat, yeah, proportions off majorly, arms and body and everything. So you got to work on that quite a bit. Jericho Caballero, way too dark, colors too flat, proportions off, so that's not going to cut it. Artist Steel. Okay, this is kind of weird. It's so funky because it's kind of like weird color dynamics here of everything going on. And if you notice here with the other character, with Chadran, his face just looks too regular, right? It's almost like he had the same face style for isom and everything else. It's interesting for the genre. Again, this choice of how he does these highlights of the colors, it's very surreal, but not going to hold up. You know what I mean? Even though it's a cool art piece on its own kind of thing, but it doesn't fit the everything else. Police Arts, a little too dark, a little too weird on isom's face. Prime Animations, too simple, too flat, faces off, eyes off. Jackal's 98. I wonder if they were born in 1998. Who knows? That arm is way out of proportion. Face has a weird realism to it, not a good realism. Color dynamics off, so proportions, everything. So that's just not going to cut it. Okay, the artist. Okay, this is just look at us, this face. Oh my goodness, what is going on, man? He drew the shading like as if he's got like a bunch of hair growing around his face. There's a lot of detail, a lot going on. The angle is cool, like the angle concept is cool, but my goodness, the proportions and everything else is way far off. So if someone did that angle, but with the right proportions, it could be cool. Brett the Illustrator, I'm just going to look at this because I don't understand. Okay, so we got what looks like some maybe Dokemon with the cards. I think it's a cool concept. I don't know how it looks like he actually just copied in the original art from the digital. So yeah, that's not going to cut it, but interesting concept. Oroku Sakai almost looks like a anime version of Rippaverse, some type of thing. I like the butt over the samurai sword. Okay. Fun artistic interpretation, but not going to cut it for this. Is Molly Wamala too simple in the details, too flat? Interesting concept, but Not gonna hold. And we're down to the bottom. Wow. Okay, here we are. No more quitting. So here we are. No more quitting. Yeah, it's, isom, just the eyes and the face, the proportions just look a little bit weird. It's cool as a concept. No more quitting, putting the blood. I like the isom logo and the art in there with the character. I don't know if that's supposed to be chadran or something weird. I don't know. But it's just, it's not going to overall cut it. So we now have officially gone through all the contest submissions that made it through the first pass. So now let's bring together what were the top ones based on what I saw. So we're going to go ahead, go all the way back, and I'm going to put into the running who I thought could be within the top. And again, this is just going to be, based on overall concept and structures of what we've kind of reviewed. We're really looking to see the total picture here, as much detail as possible, as best proportions as possible, colors as possible, all that good stuff. It needs to be something that wows. And there are quite a few that do wow. So that is no problem to put together the wows and to figure out what might make it. And I'm even going to add some that are kind of on the edge for me, just to whittle it down and be absolutely sure. But as of right now, we are in no shortage of high quality art and talent that could make this a resounding success for the final selections. I think I'm almost there. Trying to see, is there anything else that will qualify? And also, I wonder how many winners were there. I actually need to double check that. I should quickly read the rules to see how many there would be. Which I could still give like a top whatever if I get it wrong. Like if there's 4 winners, 5 winners. I thought there was more this time, but I forgot to take note of that. So, but if you do know how many winners there are, message me in the comments on the YouTube and tell me how many there are if you get it to me before I actually make it over here. Okay, I made it to the end. Okay. So now we are going to analyze the top picks of what I think are in the running. So we have this piece here. As I said in the beginning, there's some things off, but it's got some cool line work. We got this bloodruth. I think this was just an excellent overall art piece for the style. Another bloodruth, which again, while I think that it doesn't fit the overall style, it just is a cool piece. They just did it right for this genre. Then we have this one. I think he also was a winner last time. And then we have this one, which, yeah, I think we all know this one's probably going to be up there. Oh, and then we have the incredible isom, package thing, action figure package. Then we have this piece. Then we have this one, Yaira. Then we have this kind of anime version, which is pretty cool. Then we have this one, with all the reflections, pretty cool. Then we have this one, cool for the genre. And then we have this ink piece. Okay. So let's whittle this down in terms of genre styles, right? So the first thing that we're going to whittle down is just for inks, right? I don't think they're going to pick more than one ink. And I really only had, for this, I had the first one here, and then I have this one here. And I think it's pretty clear right off the bat, just looking at these, this one doesn't have as cool proportions. And a lot of what takes it up is just straight up and down line work, grid work. And Yaira doesn't exactly look like Yaira with the face. So I'm going to eliminate this one. If there's going to be just an ink only piece that's going to win, I think it's going to be this. It's got great perspective, absolutely incredible perspective, lots of characters, funny little, Easter egg things or homages to what's going on with the Rippaverse from Be Athletic to, Detector's Tears. That's definitely one to hold on to. Next, I want to do one of the bloodruth stylistics. And This is going to be a little bit harder because both of the bloodruths, I think, are really just kind of cool. Man, there's just something about this art piece that just strikes me. I don't know. I just like the way they did the red and everything. And then this other one, again, for the genre, it's just so competent and pretty, and the eyes are done right. It really is hard to have to get rid of one, but I think I'm going to get rid of this one because as cool as it is, and I think this is just a pretty art piece, you know, the detail is just a notch below the other one, and there's no bloodruth name on it if we're just doing a bloodruth character, right? So we'll get rid of that for now, and we'll put this off to the side. All right, so what we need next is our I should say, actually, before I do BTBs, big team battles, we need to do something where it's like isom is alone, right? So we had a few where it's isom's either just totally alone or you know, maybe he's the main person here. But even that's going to get tough. So, all right. So isom here in this picture, I think this is, again, it's a really cool picture. Great for the art style, but the face is not exactly there. So it throws me off just a little bit. So I'm going to let this one go. All right. Especially because we do have this one that is also in like the almost borderline Americanized manga style. So let's see where we go with this. And all right, I will take a quick, I do need to see this. I do need to see, is the fan art going to have 3 winners or is it going to have more winners? Because I do want to make sure. Okay. Okay, wait. I can't see how many winners there are here. They don't list it up top. Betty, was it? Well, I guess we won't know unless somebody remembers and tells me how many there's going to be. I thought there was more winners this time, but I guess I'm not going to be able to find that out. Rippaverse fan art 2 contest. Maybe I'm just going to see if I can find the terms. Yeah, I can't find the total number. Well, in any case, I guess then I'll work with a larger number. I'll imagine that maybe there's 5 winners. Okay. So let's walk this through. Is there, and let's make this easy on ourselves too, right? Is there one that really stands out as compared to the rest? And for me, I'm thinking there is one. I don't know about you, but there's definitely one that really sticks out, like top tier. And I'm thinking it's this one right here. And the reason why is that, you know, if you just look at this as a total picture here, I mean, just the beautiful angle of everything, right? It's got great proportion. The coloring is overall solid, very comic booky. The detail overall in isom's great, you know, minus whatever the rectangle thing, but maybe they get used or something like that. Yaira looks great. You got the Rippaverse sign in the background. You know, you got this new character. It's just, you know, the action's right there. It just draws your eyes right in. At current, I think this might be the number one. And let me see who that was here. Was number one. I might even just write this down as we go here. Let's see. A much bigger list this time. Hope I didn't already pass it because I looked away for a second. Let me see here. Was it up top? I think because it was in the line of the 3, right? So, yeah, it is. Okay, so Robert Stoica. Okay. So Robert Stoica there, I think, is currently number one. I think that it's just, again, when you're looking at this, you're like, okay, multiple characters. You got the new stuff going on, great angle, great energy, great detail on the body and the proportions, the lighting. That is just what you want in a piece. All right. So now what I'm looking for is something unique to stand out. And really, there is only one thing that is standing out to me as crazy unique, and that is the isom action figure package. This is just too cool, right? I mean, this is the design, the detail, showing all these different characters, you know what I mean? Showing off, you got Braxel, Ingrid Valdez, Brian Solari, Isom, Yaira, Cindy Bloodruth, Chadran. I mean, they did it all. They put them all there in this cool format. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, this has got to be it. This has got to be it. It's just such a cool piece. So I'm gonna say that's number 2. So that's Donnie Danko, a.k.a. Phillip H. Wood. I'm gonna say that's number 2 in the contest. All right. So right now we have number 1, Robert Stoica. We have number 2, Phillip H. Wood. Now we need a number 3. So as I'm going through here, you know, I'm kind of like looking at what's left. We have quite a few different things to work from in styles, right? We have stuff that's a little bit more traditional comic book. We have something that is more modern comic book, like in terms of just like the coloring design. We have this really pretty borderline American manga style. I just think Bloodruth looks great here. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, wow, like just the facial detail, the way that they did the nose, lips, proportions, just excellent. You know, and I just still don't understand what this little line is. I'm just hoping that maybe it was just a little accident. They meant to cover the whole page with a certain color shading thing, but who knows? You know, it is very tough. This is a little bit tougher than it was for me last time. So since this person that is what's his face, Sketch 51, he won last time. He was one of the winners. So I actually think it's not likely that he would win again, even though he has a great piece. Don't get me wrong. He has a great piece. I just don't think they would have it be the same person again, especially when there are competitive alternatives that could outplace him. Now, if he does win again, it might be in the 4th or 5th realm, if there's 4th or 5th prizes, because it is good and it is cool. But we do have some hot competition at the table. And ultimately, I'm going to have to go with this one. This piece by, let's see, who did that one? We will find, oh wait, there's another one by Jorge. I don't need that right now. I need to find who did this one. Okay, so that's Mayank Kumar. Or Mayank Kumar. So Mayank Kumar sounds like someone who's submitting from out of country. Mayank Kumar, I think, just did an absolutely gorgeous job with this, because even though this isn't the exact style of the comic book series, there's just something beautiful about how he did these different dynamic layouts. Like, it looks like an amazing comic cover with isom oversized and then Yaira looking super cool. Now, Yaira is missing the blue on there, but again, the other ones too have their own flaws. So it's, you know, this is not, you know, unique in that way. Each one of the other pieces does have something here or there off. But just, I think Bloodruth here, right front and center as a new character, was brilliant to make her the focus as a new character. The energy's great. You have Chadran looking really kind of cool. Again, he looks a little bit different from the comic stuff, but it matches the genre. Every character here is adapted to this artist's style, right? And that's a big deal when you're going to deal with an artist that is doing the adaptation. You don't just want it to be, oh, okay, they got one character right in their style, but the other characters they didn't get right in their style. And that happened with some other people. You know, they got one character right in their style, but then the rest were like, okay, this looks weird. This adaptation is on every level accurate, like for this style. He adapted every character to his style, and it works. I think this is definitely number 3 in my book. So now, again, I don't know what the exact total number of winners are, but I got my 1 and 2 and 3 so far. So we have, again, Robert Stoica right here, number 1. Number 2 is Donnie Danko with that incredible piece. Number 3 is Mayank Kumar. Now, I'm going to go further because I think there's more winners this time. I'm pretty sure there's more winners this time. I hope so. I definitely have the resources to have more winners this time, and I'd want to incentivize as many people to participate, because, you know, you have lots of of people now wanting to submit, so you can make that stack a little bigger. So what would fall into our fourths and fifths, right? That's really where we're at right now. So we have a top contender from before. And that was, if I can scroll back up and grab our artist name, because it's not a regular name. It's a Sketch 51. So Sketch 51, right? I'm going to put Sketch 51's drawing at the forefront because they were one of the winners last time. So this is a good competition here. This is a good starting point. It's like, okay, we know that this person won before. Okay, well, how do you stack up against a leading champion, right? And I get it. In the genre, it is excellent. I mean, the proportions are great for the genre, the facial expressions, the creatures are cool. It's a cool piece. It's definitely a cool piece. It's just, for me, it's not the exact genre of what was being done before, and I have some other preferences for their genres. But again, nothing wrong with that. So is there something that can outcompete this? That is the real question. Is there something that can outcompete our former champion for a fourth place position? So this one obviously stacks up pretty high because in this one, we have a really unique design, right? There's like action and motion and blur, and you have a bunch of characters in glass. It's unique. This is something special, right? This is something that has a layer of creativity that takes it to another level by having all these different scenes and reflection. This one, I think, is great. Overall, I think that, the design is great, but I don't think it's as exciting as the other two. I think the other two have a lot more to offer. So I think I'm going to eliminate this one. And then now we're down to the question of, okay, does this inked piece hold up? I might just hold this off as its own special thing because, again, it's, how do you compete, again, on inked versus colored pieces? You just can't, right? If you have amazing colored pieces versus just an ink, well, the inked is already, starting 100 meters behind. So how do we do that? I don't know. So let's focus on the colored ones. All right. So can this piece beat Sketch 51? I mean, it is really on the edge for me. And the reason why is just because this is, again, like great detail, great proportions, super cool for the genre. But this has a creativity level that is, I think, next level. But I take away a little bit because of the lips and the face. It's just kind of tough. It's like off. The face is just a little bit better. The lips, especially, really tough. And then, after that, it gets a little bit more simplistic. So honestly, everybody, I'm torn. These two are so close to each other. They're so close that I'm struggling. I really am struggling. And I really think that we need, like, in order to fully absorb it, we really need to think, does every single one of these reflections really capture the other characters well? They are a little blurry. It's a little tough, and bloodruth looks cool. Can't make it exactly as it looks like Brian and the rest of the Alpha Core. I mean, they did a good job. It does look slightly less detailed, just marginally, than this piece, but it makes sense because they're reflections and they're distant, so you wouldn't have as much detail. I don't know. I honestly, I have to admit, I think they're probably, they could be equal. I really do think so. So that leaves me in a rock and a hard place. So, I could imagine them giving Sketch 51 an award again just because, like, oh, they won before and our returning champ did make it again this time because they were that good. I could see it. But I could also see them wanting to have some fresh blood. You know what I mean? Having some some fresh people. Oh, and I think, is it Perspectives from the Creature's Mouth? Which one is that? Or the Perspectives from the Creature's Mouth? Not sure which one that is. Is that on this one? Or is it this one? No, that can't be.
Yeah, because this one, they're not there. So I don't know which one is the creature's mouth one, but it'll be interesting. I mean, if he's about, I could, maybe Isom's about to attack whatever's in front of him because it's, you're saying because you could see Chadran right there. Oh, okay. Oh, sketch 51. Oh, I see. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I see a bunch of what looks like stalactite or something, or, up top, but I'm not sure if that's from the creature's mouth. But I think that this is supposed to be implying because of where Chadran is, that he's about to punch Chadran, who's standing there confident. And it's implying that these other people have been knocked out, but Chadran still stands. That is, to me, I think, honestly, if I had to take it based on that creative aspect, it really does push it up. So that's why I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to give our newcomer the benefit because of both the creativity and, of course, wanting to have new people be able to participate in the winnings. I'm going to give it to our Festus Peter. So I'm going to put Festus Peter at number 4, if there's a number 4 spot. All right. I'm going to hold off on our sketch 51 for a moment, though, because we need to look at these remainders and think about what's good. So bloodruth is super cool. Yaira here, of course, looks overall good, competitively. And if we're looking at single characters, again, this is a very good Yaira, and it is in many ways comparable to the what I'd say potentially the quality of bloodruth. But I would think they would want to reward the new characters, right? Because Yaira has already come out. There's been focus on Yaira last time, so I'm going to put bloodruth here at number 5. So our bloodruth here at number 5, just because I think that it's a really competent overall art piece, and that's Matt Chambers. So Matt Chambers, number 5. Okay. So, all right, and now we're down to these last 3. So if we're doing this, now at this point, it's kind of like a crapshoot of what we're kind of awarding here for, because again, this is our number 1, Robert Stoica. This is our number 2, which is Donnie Danko with the cool Rippaverse package. Number 3, Mayank Kumar with this just amazing mock-up and more of a Americanized manga style. Then number 5, Matt Chambers with this just incredible scene and, exciting, suspenseful action with, the creative use of all the characters. And then a bloodruth character, again, just to have something that's like, oh, here's a new character solo. What's a new character solo looks really cool. And, for this genre, it's very competent. With what's left, I have to judge just as kind of what could fill in. So I think among these last 3, which are kind of just like honorable mentions at this point, they're close to fungible. They're close to being, in the same genre. But obviously, if we have to go based on total specs and details, Sketch 51 is going to be number 1 out of there because he has a bunch of characters and they're all colored in as well. So, it's kind of a big deal. I think that this inked piece, which was done by, let me just double check who did that one. At least the ink pieces really stick out because everything else is all colored in. So you kind of catch when you see that. Okay, so that's 10-pound hound. So 10-pound hound would, I'm writing this down. So 10-pound hound would take number 7. Sketch 51 in number 6. Just because the details cool, all the different, little things going on, detractors, tears, cry hard, hilarious, be athletic. It's really fun. It's a fun piece. And I think that they would have, if they had just gotten this colored halfway decent, this could have been maybe even one of the top 3 or 4 potentially. So that's just unfortunate that they decided not to do that. And then this Yaira piece, I just think it's pretty overall. I mean, the head proportion maybe is a little bit smaller, but it's overall very competent. The angle's cool. I think that this person is a good artist, did a good job. So Who did that one? That Yaira. Let me see here. Where is Yaira? Yaira and this guy. Where is Yaira and this guy? Oh, there we go. So that's Alex Lopez. So Alex Lopez, then I'd put in a number 8. Alex Lopez, number 8. Now, again, I don't know how many winners there's supposed to be. I don't know how many winners there are, but I do have at least the top 3 picks and then some to follow, right? So again, going through that list. Number 1, Robert Stoica. Number 2, Donnie Danko with the packaging. Number 3, Mayank Kumar. Number 4, Festus Peter. Number 5, Matt Chambers with the bloodruth. Number 6, our past winner, Sketch 51. Number 7, 10-pound hound with this incredible, inked piece that's just absolutely hilarious with all the little Easter eggs in it. And then number 8, this very competent Yaira drawing, which is very pretty for the comic, form. So if you would, let me know what you think too. It's going to be interesting to see who actually wins this because, again, as I was saying before, this time they did pre-screening. So last time, there was some people shown who, weren't going to qualify, but this time they did some pre-screening. So we might have less of a chance that someone gets booted out for that. And there's a longer response window. So some people didn't respond in time last time. And since they didn't respond to the email, they couldn't win. They went on to the next person. So this time there's nice, I believe, 7-day window. So I'm sure everybody who gets their message will respond in time. So I'm curious to see how these predictions, come out. And run the point I said, see the teeth top and bottom on Sketch 51. So he says from the perspective of the mouth. I'm kind of curious where that is. So I see, I don't know if those are supposed to be teeth or stalactites. I still don't see it. Maybe I'm just blind here. I'm not seeing what the perspective from the mouth is. But I do see what looks like, stalactites hanging down up top kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's what I thought. It was just cavern stalactites or stalagmites on the bottom, whatever. But I don't know. It could be. It's super cool. I mean, obviously it's a great piece itself too. So let me know what y'all think about it. I would love to hear your top picks and just to see who you think is most likely to win, especially the top 3. I mean, that's really where it's at. Being 1, 2, and 3 is going to be, I'm sure, the biggest of prizes. But this was quite the different, you could say, a contest this time. This is a whole different caliber of quality. I mean, I think even my top picks on this one were better in many ways than the top picks from the last one, from the last contest. There's a lot more people who participated and a lot more high quality, high talent artists. And if you're watching this and you're one of the artists who wasn't up there, just take what I said and think about what is, the best works. Work on your proportions. Continue to think about matching facial features. Think about your color contrast and just become a better artist. That's the only way you get better is by practicing and looking at who your favorite greats are and thinking about how to modify, your workflow and your color balance, your proportions. Just keep on working at it until you get to that point where you hit that really amazing proportionate human form and you're very proud of what you do. You'll never get to there without practice. So don't be discouraged if you don't win. Don't be discouraged if, it's a little extra critical of your design. Rather take what I pointed out was good about the best ones and take a look at your own proportions and work on it. Even what you submitted, see if you can make a better version of that and try to get better for next time, because I'm sure there's going to be more contests given how popular these have been already, right? I mean, so many people participating in these and so many people sending in their artwork. It's truly incredible to see and inspiring. It's really awesome to see all these different talents and to think about what, is your favorite art style. I like thinking about in my own, for my own series, Voluntarist, what I like, things I'd want to adopt, angles and positions and, what I could do better. So it's a great experience to learn from and to look at different art styles and to see what works and what doesn't and what's really exciting versus, what's a little bit more boring. It's just really fun to see. So thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out with me. And the next time I think I'm going to do something related to Rippaverse is probably going to be when I get my perks in. So I got a nice little set of comic perks in. So I'll show those on camera, unbox those, and talk about that, especially after I've read through them and give my 2 cents without spoilers. By and large, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But if I say there's a spoiler, then I'll say skip to whatever. But you know how it goes. All right. Take care, everybody, and talk to you later.